This is a re-recording of a very short presentation made at the LATA Travel Expo on June the 4th, 2025. I was invited to speak because we were presenting the awards, the Responsible Tourism Awards for Latin America. I began by talking about the fact that using the words responsible tourism in your marketing is not critical to being a winner in the Responsible Tourism Awards. We recognize companies who are explaining why they do what they do, why it matters to the business or to other people who live in or around the destination. We give it to people who describe what they're doing and how it's been funded. And then we expect people to report on the impact of their efforts. So responsible tourism by any other name would smell as sweet, to quote Shakespeare. It's also, I think, clearly the case that if you're given an independent award by the ICRT globally, then that should be a verifiable claim in terms of the EU Green Claims Directive. Because it's been awarded externally by a clearly independent body. But we wait to see the detail. I also wanted to mention to those who were there the unintended consequences of the European Union having adopted the CSRD programme. I support very much what they're doing, requiring larger companies to report on their sustainability performance. I think it's important information for investors and consumers. The difficulty is, and it's an unintended consequence, is the costs which are being imposed on SMMEs, which often require hours or even days of work. And many small businesses, particularly in Africa, but also in Latin America, are reporting to me that they are getting numerous slightly different requests for information. Each survey form is unique and each takes a long time to complete. In my view, trade associations are well placed to establish a common reporting form that meets the needs of the large companies to comply with the requirements of the CSRD regulations, and that there is no need for multiple survey instruments. So if a trade association like LATA could secure agreement between its big members about the nature of the standard form which would be used to collect the information necessary to the CSRD process, that would be an enormous step forward in reducing the burden on small businesses in the supply chain. And mitigating that kind of unintended consequence would be a highly acclaimed result. It would be very good for LATA, but it would be very good for the business relationships between the larger companies and their suppliers in Latin America. So if the ICRT can assist with this in any way, please just ask. But it's absolutely clear that if LATA was to be successful in pulling this off, it would have established something of real importance, which would likely be copied by other trade associations. So to speak briefly about the ICRT Global, which now runs the Responsible Tourism Awards, which Justin Francis started and invited me to be chair of in 2004. It's the movement for responsible tourism has grown over the years, and as you can see from the slide, we've now got 5 separate ICRTs in regional parts of the world. Essentially, they do campaigning to promote responsible tourism. They develop demonstration projects. They encourage South-South exchange. They do advocacy, research, and training. For me, one of the really critical things is to encourage South-South exchange. There's much that could be learned in Africa from what's happening in Latin America and vice versa. But that knowledge at the moment is often transmitted by people like me, and I do the best I can, but I'm not actually the practitioner. I'm talking about somebody else's practice. Everything that I've learned about responsible tourism, I've learned from people in business, from people in communities, from NGOs, from government administrations. I've learned from practice, but the challenge is to find new ways of sharing that practice across countries, whether that's within the continent or across continents. It's a big agenda, but it's a very important one to speed progress towards sustainability and to work out in each destination what the best way of developing the objectives of the 2022 Charter on Responsible Tourism, how they can best be met. So the ICRT Global is about making tourism better. It's about fostering and supporting change makers. It's about fostering and encouraging knowledge exchange, primarily between practitioners, sometimes involving academics, across continents and across the globe. It's about sharing. Now we offer, at the moment we offer a professional certificate in responsible tourism and a professional certificate in managing over tourism. Both of them taught at above master's level. These are professional development courses. They're intensive. They have lots of information for you to follow up on if you do the course. And anyone who's done the course is given continuing access to the updated version of the course as it evolves. The course on creating shared value, which is beginning to have real impact in some parts of Southern Africa, that course is yet to be written, but we're expecting it to launch in January 2026. We also run conferences and events, and I publish Responsible Tourism News every month in an effort to keep people informed about the change that's occurring around the responsible tourism agenda. Now, to turn specifically to the Responsible Tourism Awards, which was what the event was about, founded in 2004, designed to identify good practice and to encourage others to follow, perhaps better expressed as designed to inspire. And it's not that people can copy in great detail. They can be inspired, they can see a different way of doing it, but it will always have to be adapted to the particular place where someone is wanting to implement a responsible tourism approach. I write really detailed citations about specifically what we are recognizing as being exemplary responsible tourism practice. The awards are for specific practices. We're not a certifying agency. And very importantly, they are free to enter. We've awarded multinationals, SMMEs, and destinations, some of them very small. We've awarded TUI, its airline. We've awarded Eurostar. We've awarded twice now two different very small companies operating in the Rhine of Kutch, which is a very isolated area of northern India. So it really is important that the awards are accessible to everyone, and they are. We run regional awards programs now in Africa, Southeast Asia, Latin America, obviously in India, and we've just launched this year in Europe. The gold winners in those awards go forward to the Global Responsible Tourism Awards, sponsored by Sabre. So I prefer the language of recognition rather than winners, but understandably, people who win like to be known as winners. And to be honest, the people organising the award ceremonies prefer that language too. Our judging criteria are that we need to see the evidence base for the claims that are being made. We need to see whether we think they are replicable because we're about creating change. We're looking for innovation. Those, I would say, are the three most important things. But we also look for influence, and sustainability and longevity of the practice are very important to us. And sometimes people who have got what looks like an absolutely brilliant idea, but have only been doing it for 6 months, apply for an award, and we give them one to watch because we think it would be better if they came back in a year or two with more evidence and more and able to give us more confidence that it will continue because it's been around for a while. And it's likely in our view that ones to watch are likely to win gold or silver in the future. So we recognise people by giving them gold, in which case automatic entry to the global awards. Silver is a massive achievement. These are difficult awards to win. And we give one to watch to initiatives which the judges are excited by, but which are either new and not yet proven, or where the judges would like to see a future submission with evidence of impact and influence because they think they are potential gold winners, but they're not here yet. And we don't just give an award to the same company year after year. Once you've won, to win again, you need to have done something new, worthy of recognition in the awards. Just to remind you, the judges can only choose from amongst those that apply. So if you're sitting there thinking there are better people who could have won, please encourage them to apply next year. It's also important, I think, to recognise that you're entering for multiple different reasons. It may be that you're entering as a way of recognising the contribution your staff have made to achieving the objective. It may be that you just want to demonstrate to other businesses what you're doing. It may be you want to demonstrate to local government what you're doing, or it may be that you actually want to communicate with your potential clients. You need obviously to determine that, but you're entering for yourself. And you need to think that if you're putting all this work in, it's not for us as the judges. You're doing it because you want to communicate what you've done to others. And therefore you should be reusing what you write for us on your website, in your communications, both with your clients and in your supply chain. The citations for those from Latin America recognized in 2025 can be found on the ICRT Global website, and I would encourage you to take a look. The detail is important. Thank you for listening.